Today we are reading My Return to the Path Foreword, Lofu scholar Zhongguang's Foreword, written for a manuscript that he organized for a bosom friend, who turned out to be a borisin. After 30 years of dispute and controversy, my best friend Yuliho's posthumous autobiography, My Return to the Path, has finally been published. I could not be happier for her. I imagine to the majority of my readers, both the name Yuliho and My Return to the Path are likely new to you, so please allow me to tell you a little about her life in this preamble. In the year 7992, Yuliho was born into a Blood Wind Pack beast ship operator family. The Blood Wind Pack inspired awe across the universe, with their gigantic fleet of beast ships. Within a society like Borisin that honors strength above all, beast ship operators from this generation, like Yuliho, naturally held a relatively high level of political influence. By 8023, Yuliho already had her own personal fleet, the Petra, at only age 31. She had already independently planned and completed dozens of plunder and ransack missions. As far as Shinjo pilots at the time were concerned, Yuliho was an unparalleled nightmare. She was renowned for her fearless attacks and many schemes, and could be said to lead the most brutal and efficient fleet at that time. Before long, thanks to her many military exploits, Yuliho's rank among the pack skyrocketed. In 8025, Yuliho and the Bloodwind Pack chief Hosing Khan were married. As it is Borisin tradition for the chief's partner to act as the leader of all officials, Yuliho had suddenly risen to the second highest rank within the Bloodwind Pack. In 8032, Yuliho gave birth to a child named Chuluwu. If everything went as planned, Chuluwu would become the next leader of the pack. However, there was an unexpected development the year that Chuluwu turned 5. Originally, Hosing Khan had already exceeded 400 years of age without bearing an heir. If the regular route of succession were to be followed, the title of chief would go to the next Durin descendant, Hosing Khan's nephew Kobo. However, the birth of Chuluwu had shattered this plan. After having prepared all his life to inherit the pack, Kobo had the 3,000-strong beast ship fleet that had sworn loyalty to him to reclaim his power and attack the chief's great beast ship. Hosing Khan had no time to react before he was murdered by his bodyguard that Kobo had bribed. Naturally, Kobo's next target would be Yuliho and her son. Fortunately, Yuliho had always retained her own fleet that vowed loyalty to her, the Petra. Although they only boasted 300 ships, every member was a trusted ally that had accompanied her on pillages for many years. Yuliho and her fleet successfully forced their way out of Kobo's encirclement. However, with the huge beast ship fleet that pursued them like locusts, there was no way for her mere 300 ships to escape. However, Kobo Khan called off his manhunt a short while later and returned to the Bloodwind Pack, successfully becoming the next chief. Yuliho would never say how she managed to escape that lethal pursuit. All that we know is that her only child, Chuluwu, died during that escape. In the year 8038, Yuliho led the Petra with 127 men remaining to the Fenghu, determined to submit and pledge allegiance to the Alliance. After 2 long years of careful deliberation, the Alliance decided to pardon these Borisin for their crimes and allow them to live inside the Fenghu under strict surveillance. This was on the condition that they comply with all Alliance research on Borisin, as well as submitting all beast ship related technology to them. This was also the time that I met Yuliho. As a cultural anthropologist, I was ordered to interview these 127 Borisin in order to deepen our understanding of Borisin society. Throughout the course of my research, Yuliho and I developed a deep friendship. She was an intelligent, frank, and courageous warrior who was able to surmise the complex and chaotic world of Borisin society and logic to me in concise, clear language. Likely because of her hatred towards Kobo, Yuliho always hoped that she would be able to lead her Petra fleet to fight for the Alliance. However, a request like this was unlikely to receive approval. Yuliho made this request again and was rejected every time. After 30 years, she could bear this cycle no longer and began to seek my assistance. I suggested that she write a long letter explaining her life and background in detail. This would allow her to explain her hatred for her enemies to the 7 Arbiter Generals, and why she longs to fight for the Alliance. When she did this, I would be willing to put my personal reputation on the line to vouch for her. 2 years later, she wrote My Return to the Path. Perhaps This was truly some cruel trick of fate, but in AD 72, not long after she had written this letter, the third Denizen of Abundance War broke out. With the Fenghu serving as the main battleground, it quickly descended into a terrifying bloodbath. Pressed with their backs against the wall, no one was free to keep watch over Yoliho, so without seeking permission from the Alliance, the Petra launched their final assault. We never learned just how many abominations of abundance the Petra had wiped out in the war. However, what we can be sure of is that they managed to transport at least 4,000 civilians to safety before the Rainbow's Lux arrow descended, and during this process all 127 borisin warriors, including Yoliho, perished. Due to the sensitive nature of Yoliho's identity and her undeniable past wrongdoings, her story has been concealed under the surface of history to this day. This is why my return to the path was never able to be published. I have been working hard for years to make sure that my return to the path gets published, in the hopes that her story could appear on my readers' desks, like it can today. Honestly, I almost don't care about the book's academic merit, I just care about my selfish motives. I want to introduce the story of my friend Yoliho to you all. She was an abomination of abundance that was full of evil, a covetous thief, and a criminal with blood-soaked hands. She was a Shinjo person who never gained recognition, a courageous warrior, and a mother filled with rage and sorrow. Doctor of Cultural Anthropology at the Lofu Grand Virtue Academy, Zhongguang.